What's up, guys? My name's Captain Dave and welcome back to the Captain's Quarters, the video in which I go through and answer all of your questions and comments from last time's video. As to start off, I know I did say that this one might actually be a camera, you might actually get to see my face, but to be completely honest, it's been a hell of a week, and I really have just not had time to even look at it. It's still in its original packaging right now. I haven't even had a chance to get it out of the box. I mean, as of right now, I have literally just over an hour to get this thing recorded, so I have absolutely no time, and the first time I actually set this thing up and get it on camera and all that sort of stuff, I want it to be cool. I want to have a nice long hangout session with you guys, so maybe next week. As I say, can't promise anything. Being deadline month and all that sort of stuff, and if the craziness of this week continues over, then I might not have time, but hopefully next week. So as I said, I have a little time, so I better get a move on with this. Starting off with the General Fire. So sorry for spamming you and cursing last time. I had nothing to do with you. I was wet and pissed off. That makes sense. Everyone has their bad days. You are forgiven. Yusuf Yasir said, "What's up, Dave? How's it going? My questions for you are: number one, will you play Lego Avengers, which is based off the movies?" Yes! Yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to that game. If it's anything as fun as Marvel Lego Superheroes was, then yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fun game. Maybe, I don't know, I haven't actually looked into it, so I don't know how many characters there's going to be in the game. It's like with the Lego Superheroes, there was like so many characters in that. So I'm not sure if they're going to have that same amount of characters again. I mean, let's face it, they already have the character models, so I don't see why not. But it seems like as this one is more based on the Avengers, I get the feeling at least the main game will just be the Avengers. You might have a free roam where you can be everyone else. I mean, let's face it, there's practically everyone's been an Avenger by this point, so it wouldn't surprise me if there were more characters. But it looks like this one, as it shows in the title, is going to be just focused on the Avengers, like the movie-based Avengers. So, but no, it looks fun. I'm also looking into starting up the Lego Batman series as well, which will probably start once Walking Dead's all done and dusted, all 5 episodes. So, yeah. But no, it's going to be Lego Central around here in a while, I feel. Question number 2 was, what are you on SpiderMan Unlimited? Oh, I've actually had this question a few times, but the way YouTube always does, like I've said at the start of many Captain's Quarters, for some reason it deletes some comments sometimes. I have absolutely no idea why. So this question is something I've been asked a few times, but I've never actually got to answer. So I'm stalling for time right now as I'm opening the app, but yeah, let's have a little look-see here. What level am I? I have no idea of even finding out. Oh no, I am on issue 5, and I think I'm on the 3rd Dr. Octopus boss battle. And to be honest, I probably could get a lot further than that now. It's just this game has so many events on it. Like, yeah, the Inheritors, and you've got, right now you've got the Cyber style one, which I completed ages ago. Right now I'm just trying to rank up in the leveling system, in the like the leaderboards. So but no, yeah, it's a very addicted game. I actually broke my phone like before Christmas, just after Christmas, and I haven't got it fixed because I don't want to lose my phone and not be able to do one of the events. So for like 4 or 5 months now, it's been it's had this massive crack down the middle of it. But yeah, I've actually managed to rank up quite a few of them quite far. I mean, like, I've got a legendary like amazing SpiderMan that's completely ranked out, like level 100, and I've got several others that are following suit as well, like the Future Foundation SpiderMan, which I love. He's level 90, he's maxed out at level 90. So's the battle damaged Spider-Man, which is just awesome for racking up combos. Cause like he's got the near miss combo, and he's also got the like the enemy attack combo, which when you fight a boss, or just like gives you 20-30 combo points right then and there. So yeah, the battle damaged Spider-Man suit that leveled up past 5 stars is just awesome. But yeah, I've got quite a few of them. I've been quite lucky recently in getting quite a few of them, but all the legendary ones you get from events, most of them are sitting around like the 10 or 15 mark, because you get them at the event and then it's very unlikely you're going to get them again after that. So, but no, it's a for a game that's literally just run, punch, kick, it's very addictive. It really is. It's just I just have this uncanny urge to unlock stuff. I can't help myself. Third question was, other than Arkham Knight, what other next-gen games are you looking forward to? Oh no, what am I looking at movies? Alright, so next-gen games and movies, which ones am I looking forward to? The next-gen games, I would say, next Mass Effect, obviously. Arkham Knight, as you said. And other than that, do you know, there's not really too much that's on my list. Marvel, I suppose it's not really just next gen, but the Marvel Telltale thing that was announced, insanely looking forward to that. I think there's a question talking about that later, so I'll go into a bit more detail about that later. But yeah, but no, there's not many console games I look forward to. Like a lot of you guys say, oh, are you looking forward to this game? You're looking forward to that game. Most of the time, I haven't heard of them because I don't follow any like gaming, like news. I don't know, news channels or news programs or news podcasts or read any magazines or anything like that. Like other than the stuff I want to play, I don't really keep up with gaming news at all. So most of the time you guys are informing me of games, but no, off the top of my head I can't think of any games I'm really looking forward to, but that's because I don't know of any games that are coming out other than Marvel Telltale Arkham Knight and the next Mass Effect at some point. I don't know, I haven't even really looked, to be honest, but I'm sure there are plenty that I'd love. And your last question was, if you could come up with a new team for Marvel made up of 4 people, who would it be? Mine would be Spider-Man, Human Torch, Iceman, and Deadpool. And finally, thoughts on the end credits of Age of Ultron. I thought it was going to be the Spidey one. Thanks for answering my questions, and have a good day. Okay, so let's answer the 4th question first. So yeah, that's the thing, like if I was to make a Marvel team, it probably wouldn't be like, who do I think would really gel well together, blah blah blah. It'd probably be like, I'd just put my 4 favourites. So it'd probably actually be very close to yours, but instead of having Deadpool, I'd have the Thing. But yeah, Spider-Man, Human Torch, Iceman, and the Thing. That's like my favourite team. right there. I don't know. Maybe if I could, I might branch out and try and think of 4 other people to put together, because Spider-Man, Human Torch, Iceman, Thing. That's just like my go-to team. I think I use them in Marvel Ultimate Alliance too as well. But let's say, let's try and think of some like unique combinations. Cyclops, before he went, I don't know, maybe with the X visor. So, you know, either pre or post Avengers vs X-Men, either Cyclops I'm happy with. They're 2 completely different Cyclopses, like in personality and like demeanor in a sense. Or maybe actually no, before or after Messiah Complex Spider-Man Cyclops. I think that's when he really changed. But yeah, one of those Cyclopses. I want to say Hawkeye for some reason. I don't know why. I've been reading the Avengers and New Avengers recently. Hawkeye's growing on me. He really is. But I don't know. We've already got sort of like a sort of like Hawkeye and Cyclops are both sort of the same in a sense. The fact that they both have an attack that shoots in one direction, if you see what I mean. It's not like an area blast or like their strength, or they're both sort of aim and shoot kind of things, and they're both kind of tacticians as well. So I don't know, they're kind of one in the same. So I'm gonna say Cyclops for now. Who else should I put on this team? Let's say Cyclops, Susan Storm, who else? I'm racking my brain now trying to think of some really unique combinations. We need a powerhouse, although Sue Storm is quite a powerhouse. Let's think of someone. Let's think of a big guy. I'll keep thinking Beast for some reason, but of course him and Cyclops have already been a team once before. I mean, they'd make quite good teaming, mainly because they really hate each other now. So I feel like they'd make a really good, unique pairing, but the team would just break apart. So let's say someone unique, someone different. Do you know what? I think anyone else I come up with is going to be really... It's just like, they're not going to complement each other as a team. Because I was going to say, like, Doctor Strange and then... I don't know. Wiccan. I was trying to come up with just 4 people who would never be put together. But, no, if I had to pick, it'd be Spider-Man, Human Torch, Iceman, Thing. So... But yeah, your last thing was thoughts on the end credits of Age of Ultron. Now... For anyone who hasn't seen Age of Ultron, I think enough time has passed now where I can actually talk about this. I mean, it came out over a week ago in England. It's finally out in America now, so I feel like I can, like, everywhere is doing reviews and talking about it, so I feel like I can talk about it now. Like, enough time has passed where I'm not dropping spoilers before the things even come out. So if you haven't seen it, I'm probably going to end up talking about Age of Ultron quite a lot throughout this, so I don't know. Either to skip forwards in the video or just don't watch it. But I'm going to be talking about Age of Ultron, so thoughts on the end credits of Age of Ultron. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a Spider-Man one too. However, now with retrospect, it makes more sense that it was a Thanos one. I mean, that just, and like the fact that he picked up the Infinity Gauntlet, it just makes more sense. Because as cool as it would have been to have Spidey at the end, like, hey, here he comes, he's already going to be in Civil War, he's already going to have his own film, he's then obviously going to be in Infinity War and stuff like that afterwards, I can only assume. So they didn't really need to put him in the end credits. Building up the storyline and the hype for Infinity War is actually more important. So with retrospect, it actually makes more sense that they used Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet. Let's face it, the only time he's ever been in a Marvel Cinematic movie, other than the end credits, was in Guardians of the Galaxy. Or, Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Dark World. No, was he in Thor Dark World, or was that just Chitauri and Loki? I can't remember if he was actually there. And obviously the Avengers as well, like right at the end. But yeah, other than that, he's never had a role where he's actually really been in the film to actually build him up. So these end credit scenes are the only place to really hype him up and build up this ethos, this big grand being that is my mind's going blank. I forgot his name. I've just said it 1,000 times. Thanos. So like, as cool as it would have been in Spidey, it makes sense that it was Thanos. It kind of had to be, really. That's what the Avengers films are leading to. So it had to, at the end of Avengers film, it kind of had to be him, really. But anyway, Tangiel Malik said, what games are you planning on doing a walkthrough of? And also, has anyone noticed how much Captain Dave says Looky Loo in some of his walkthroughs? And finally, Daredevil for life. Yes, you said about the Looky Loo thing. I've ended up having some, I suppose in the sense, catchphrases, which have been unintentional. There's stuff like Boom Baby and Falcon Punch, or any other version of the punch. That's stuff like I wanted to say quite a lot because I loved it. I thought it was like a funny thing to do. However, there's been others that you guys have pointed out that I say and I don't even realise. Looky Loo is a new one that you've just pointed out. Fair enough. I can't remember the guy's name without going to look at the video now. But someone has been keeping tally on my Skyrim videos of how many times I say fair enough. And I think in one of the videos he counted 15 times in a 20-minute video. I went, fair enough, fair enough. And I didn't even realise I did it that much. But, yeah, so there's like some unintentional catchphrases that have sort of popped up without even meaning to. So, yeah. But what games am I planning on doing walkthroughs of? Well, obviously right now I've got Skyrim and The Walking Dead. Skyrim's just going to be going on forever. That's why I've started up the 2 walkthrough thing again. Walking Dead's probably going to be going on for quite some time as well, because, well, I don't know, the first episode only managed to churn out 4 episodes, like 4 parts in that episode. So I don't know, probably another couple of weeks, couple of months maybe, we'll be once Walking Dead's done, because there's 5 episodes in that in total. Each one broke down to about 4 or 5 parts. It's probably going to take a couple of months till that's getting done. However, once that is done, I do plan on playing. I want to start the Lego Batman trilogy at some point and play through all 3 of them, because the 3rd one came out a few months ago. So I really want to go from the first one and just work my way through all of them. Just the main game, not really any of the free roaming stuff. Just like the main game and just play through it, because that would be kind of fun. However, I do know there's the Lego Avengers game that's coming out, and if at some point, hopefully in the near future, if I can afford to get a next gen console, I want to do Arkham Dark Knight as well. But that all depends on if I can actually get myself a next gen. So I wanted to do Wolf Among Us as well, but obviously I had those issues with the console and Telltale, and I don't know, maybe X-Men Legends like some point down the line. I don't know, I really got bored playing that game, so I don't know, kind of depends really. But yeah, the ones that are definitely coming are the Lego Batman trilogy, Arkham Knight at some point when I can get a next gen console, and Lego Avengers. They're the definites. They're the ones that are definitely going to happen at some point. Anything else is just is open to debate. So, Lucas, I can never pronounce your last name, said top 5 Marvel movies, and you can choose the X-Men movies as well. In that case, a lot of them are probably going to be more recent ones, and I also just spilt a lot of water on the mixer for my headset. So if I abruptly disappear, you know just what happens. Like, if I suddenly start sounding like a robot and then fizzle out, you know I've just either drowned or electrocuted myself. Right, so top 5 Marvel movies, and I can choose the X-Men movies as well. So, a lot of them are probably going to be the more recent ones. So, this is in no particular order either, because I'm used to actually picking favourites and putting a top 5. No particular order. Age of Ultron, Days of Future Past, Avengers, the first one. How many have I just said? 3. So yeah, so Age of Ultron, Days of Future Past, the first Avengers. Guardians of the Galaxy. And I want to say X-Men First Class. But maybe Winter Soldier. Am I forgetting one? None of the Iron Mans. Thor's were good, but I wouldn't say in the top 5. Yeah, maybe it is Winter Soldier. I don't know, it's a shame because we've got so many good ones coming out. But I don't know, the last one is either Winter Soldier or First Class. I can't quite decide. I think First Class. I think I want to say X-Men First Class. But yeah, so Age of Ultron, Days of Future Past, the first Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, and X-Men First Class. They're my top Marvels. And that's, bear in mind, I haven't thrown in any of the Spider-Mans or any of the Fantastic Four. I mean, that list might change up a bit if I did throw them in there. But not that they're better movies, it's just as you know, I personally have just a soft spot for the first Fantastic Four movie. Don't know why, because compared to the others, it is nowhere near as good. Nowhere near as good. I mean, most people go as far to say it's actually not good at all, but I just like it. I don't know what it is, I just like it. MC Knight said, "Hey Dave, my question is, what would you rather see? Deadpool and Spider-Man have a Your Mama fight, or Ernot Rex and Grunt play Mortal Kombat X? Both would be entertaining as hell, but I think I'm going to go for the Deadpool and Spider-Man having Your Mama fight. I can just imagine them battling, like in the pages of the comments, just exchanging insults back and forth. I can imagine that would be far more enjoyable, because let's face it, you'd barely get through the first fight with Grunt and Rex before one of them just smashes the controller, smashes the screen, and smashes the entire apartment they're sitting in. So, as fun as that'd be, I'd rather see the battle of wits between Deadpool and Spider-Man. If you can call Your Mama fight a battle of wits. WJS Gamer said, Dave, have you been playing Halo? Because I'm in a match and someone is named Cap Dave. Really? Someone stole my name? That makes sense actually, because when I first went to create my PlayStation name, as you know, was CPT Dave. I did try Captain Dave and Cap Dave, and they were all taken. So they could be a copycat. However, they could also be one of the originals. And if it's playing on Halo, it's on Xbox. So I'm not called Cap Dave on Xbox. So they may have been there before me. They may have been there after me. Who knows? Could just be a coincidence. But no, it was not me. I've never played a Halo game in my life. So it was definitely not me. It was my imposter, I say. It's an imposter. AJ Singh said, will you watch Star Wars The Force Awakens and will you watch Jurassic World? You got a few questions, so I'll answer these one at a time. Alright, so will I watch Star Wars The Force Awakens and will you watch Jurassic World? Well, for all you guys, and I'm going to say this in every Captain's Quarters, if you don't watch the Untitled podcast, which is going to get a new name very soon, if you don't watch the Untitled podcast with me and Tommy, I'd really suggest you do. Because we talk about a lot of this stuff in great detail, especially anything cinematic. We talk about that a lot. Anything to do with DC, Marvel, and just general films that we like Star Wars and Jurassic World. In episode 2, we spoke about Star Wars The Force Awakens and Jurassic World in great detail. So, yeah, if you want to hear about that, go over and watch it. It's very good idea. And if you don't want to watch the rest of it, and you just want to watch about that bit, you can just skip forwards in the video, because I put a picture on the screen pertaining to whatever we're talking about. So you can just skip forwards until that particular image comes up. But but in sum, yes, I will be watching both. I'm looking forward to Jurassic World more, and I know a lot of people might be like, oh, blasphemer, when I say that, but it's because I haven't actually watched all the Star Wars films, and I know, like, shock and awe. Someone who's like a nerd, someone who's a geek, who says they haven't watched the Star Wars film. What's this guy talking about? But I haven't, and I'm a huge fan of Jurassic Park, so I'm more looking forward to Jurassic World, but I am going to go see Star Wars as well, so. Which I know is not exactly the general consensus out there, but hey ho. Most people would rather watch Star Wars, but that's just, everyone's different, I guess. Your next question was, if you had to make a game that would be, what would the game be about? What would you call the game? Oh man, that's an open question. I don't know. I think I've had a question that's quite similar to this before, actually. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. As I said like previously, I've had a bit of a busy week. My brain is actually kind of fried. I'm unable to think about these really big, in-depth questions. And I know it's not exactly like a putting the world to rights kind of question. It's just if I had to make a game, but my head is kind of fried right now. But off the top of my head, if I can think of anything, I don't know. If I had to make a new game, it would be Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Like, I'm just going to plug that one until the cows come home. I can't believe they just haven't done that sooner. Like, listen to the outcry. I know there's probably some, like, legal reasons why they haven't, like some logistical reasons behind the scenes why they haven't, but come on now. You just think the amount of people that love the first two, like, it just makes good sense, but... Oh, you can tell I'm yawning. I'm actually fried. I didn't realise how tired I was. Yeah, so what would I call the game? Yeah, it'd be Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. What do you think about the Alien movies and the Predator movies? I don't really have much of an opinion, to be honest. I've seen some of the Alien movies. I don't think I've ever seen a Predator movie all the way through. I've seen some of the Alien ones, and I saw Alien vs Predator 1 and 2. And it was like both just because it happened to be on TV when I sat down. Like, it wasn't... I went out to go see it. So, I don't really have a thought. Like, they're not by no chance great movies. Like, obviously, the original Alien ones were like... classics, and I suppose the Predator ones were too, but I haven't seen them, so. But I don't know, it's just like, they're by no means great movies, but I don't know, I think it just depends on what sort of thing you're looking for in a movie. If you're looking for a great blockbuster, then no, but if you just want to take your brain out and watch some senseless violence, then yeah, sure, why not? Tom Ho said, was the end credits scene at the end of Age of Ultron any good? And Sonic FTW said amazing, in my opinion. Yes, I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. As I spoke about earlier, I was expecting a Spider-Man scene, but now with hindsight, it kind of makes sense that it was a Thanos scene. Yeah, actually, it just makes more sense. They didn't really need to have a Spider-Man scene at the end. Blast Studio said, in my last question, I was asking about the newest trailer for the Fantastic Four, and if you had seen it or not. Yeah, like, again, that's something we spoke about heavily in the second episode of the Untitled podcast as well. So, yeah, seriously, guys, I can't stress to you enough how much you should go over and watch that, because we talk about a lot of the things that you ask us in great detail. It's one of the whole reasons we set the thing up. But and we talk about a lot of new stuff that's just come out that week as well. So, but yeah, I spoke about this, like, as I said before. But one of the things I feel about it is I think it's going to be a good film, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a good Fantastic Four film. So, like, if you're a Fantastic Four fan, whether you're a fan of the 616 main continuity or the Ultimate Fantastic Four, I think either way, I think it's gonna be. It seems like it's a lot grittier and a lot more serious than the Fantastic Four has ever seemed to me. Like, even bear in mind, I've only read like the main 616 main continuity of the Fantastic Four, so I can't really speak for the Ultimate Universe. But that is even at the most serious of times, it always seemed kind of light-hearted. Even when it was like really death-defyingly serious, it always seemed kind of light-hearted, kind of like with a Fantastic Four. It didn't have that gritty feel that Josh Trank's bringing to this version of the X-Men. So to the Fantastic Four, I mean. So that's what I think. I think it's going to be a good film. I'm just not sure whether it's going to be a good Fantastic Four film. So that's my thoughts on it. Charles Taylor Coe said, "Hey Cap, did you hear about the partnership between Marvel and Telltale Games? What do you think about it, and what will the game be?" Again, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm starting every question with this. Again, the newest episode, the Untitled podcast, the first thing we talk about is that, and we speculate galore about it. But the cliff notes, I guess, is like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, there's so many things it could be about. Like, you think about all the great stories Marvel's had. Let's just say from like mid-2000 onwards, you got like Avengers Disassembled, House of M, Civil War, Secret Invasion, Dark Reign, Siege, Fear Itself, Original Sin. Like, no, I'm not saying all of them were great, but there are just so many. Age of Ultron, obviously. There's just been so many. Like, where are they going to go? Or are they going to come up with an original story like the original Ultimate Alliance did? I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Because, I mean, as much as I love Civil War, that was done in Ultimate Alliance 2. There's going to be a film about it now. It's kind of been... I don't want it to be done too much to the point where it becomes like oversaturated and a bit boring. I want to still love it. So I wouldn't want them to do a Civil War, because I don't want them to do it too much where it becomes boring. But like we were saying, like, as well, would you be able to be a hero, or would you be a new hero? So it'd be like, okay, this is the Siege storyline, and this is the House of M storyline, or the Secret Invasion storyline. What happens when you're thrown into it? Like, how will you change the outcome of like the event now that you're placed in the thick of it? You know, so I don't know. I think it's it's wide open. Like, they could go anywhere with this, and obviously the comic book style that Telltale does their games is just gonna relate to Marvel so well. It's just, I'm excited. I had no, like, as I say, like, if you want to hear more speculation, go watch the newest episode of the Untitled podcast, because we talk about it in great depth. But it could go anywhere. It could actually do anything, and I'm so excited about this. I can't believe I've got to wait till 2017 for this to come out. But man, it's just so much it could do. But hey, I'm just glad to see that a new Marvel game's coming out that isn't on like a mobile device, like, because they've already been lacking with that. Like, every game they bring out is just some easy to make like mobile app game. They haven't made like a big game in ages, like an Ultimate Alliance, or like Sony has been making like the SpiderMan games and stuff like that. They haven't just made a proper game in ages. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like, there's no way I can't. Like, other than the small gripes I've been having with the Telltale console games, like, I love Telltale story capability, like storytelling capabilities. I love Marvel stories and all their characters. So combine the story like the story arcs by like Brian Bendis and Joss Whedon and other greats that I'm completely forgetting. Like, get their storytelling capabilities and get Telltale to present that story. I just don't see how it can't be anything but awesome. But so yeah, in sum, very much looking forward to it. Sheik Nabi said, "Hey Dave, do you ever think about playing iPad or iPhone games as a separate series?" It crossed my mind once or twice, say like with the Spider-Man game I'm playing and stuff like that. But honestly, I have no idea how you even begin to record an iPhone. Like, I don't even know how you'd even start doing that. I haven't got a clue. So I don't know. Maybe that's a question for you guys. Like, how do you record an iPhone? Like, how do you do that? I have no idea. Like, I know people who record like DS's and stuff like that. Like, some of them, they have to import equipment from like Japan or something. Like, it's really hard to do. Like if you want to do it properly, some people just use like a overhead camera or stuff like that. But if you want to get like the actual in-game recording, like, how the hell do you go about doing that? I have no idea. So yeah, maybe one of you guys could do a little bit of research on my behalf. Anyway, your second question was, "Hey Dave, what do you think about the second Avengers movie?" Yeah, so like, I've spoke about the end credits a little bit, and I think I've got a few more comments coming up that ask me about this. Actually, yeah, there you go. The next comment as well was from Sonic FTW. I'm going to ask you if it's okay, and if you don't want to give any spoilers away, I won't. I just want to make it safe for people who haven't watched Avengers Age of Ultron yet. Who's your favourite Avenger that has come up in Avengers Age of Ultron? Personally, Vision is mine, and I like how they tease the new Avengers team at the end. So yeah, a lot of people are asking me about the Avengers. So as I said earlier on, this is going to be heavy spoilers on Age of Ultron. So if you don't want to hear that, probably best you stay away from this one. And hell, go see the movie. Like, dude, this is, in my opinion, one of the best Marvel movies thus far. So like, I'm surprised I've only seen it once so far. Like, if I had it my way, I'd be seeing it every day. But yeah, so what did I think about the second Avengers movie? Now, I'm not going to do this justice, because as I said, my brain's kind of fried right now. I'm kind of tired. So I'm not going to do this like anywhere near the justice it deserves. But I honestly can say hand on heart. Bear in mind that it's been over a week or so since I've seen it now, so I feel like the honeymoon period has kind of worn off a little bit. I can honestly say I think it's one of the best Marvel movies thus far. I think it is definitely one of the best Avengers movies thus far. It's great. Like, and as I said, we've spoke about this like before, but I feel like the world just feels so lived in. Like, whereas most films, they always have a degree of setup, like introducing characters, introducing the bad guy in the movie. What is his role? Why is he the bad guy? How does he connect to the main character? There's a lot of build up. There's a lot of this. In Avengers Age of Ultron, they finally have got to a point where they don't need to do that. They don't need to explain who the Avengers are. They don't need to explain where they're living or what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing. Because the reason they're doing stuff was explained in Captain America Winter Soldier, in Thor Ragnarok, in Iron Man 3. Like, all of that has been explained in other movies. So when Avengers Age of Ultron picks off, it's boom, straight into the action. They're living in Avengers Mansion. The chemistry between the characters is just amazing. Like, the actors, you can tell they've spent so much time together, because it isn't plastic, it isn't so rigid. You literally feel like they are the character, which is obviously the whole point of them acting. But it is amazing. It's fantastic. And what I liked as well, that it wasn't all just action, but when it wasn't action, they weren't building up the story in a slow, boring pace. They were building up the story, but it felt real. It was just like Bruce Banner and Tony Stark hanging out, just chatting back and forth, building stuff. It was them having a party in the Avengers Mansion. It was them sitting there joking back and forth, not always just action, plot, action, plot, action, plot. It was them having fun as well, being the Avengers on their day off, joking about stuff, mocking each other. It was fun. It really was fun. Like, ongoing jokes with Captain America and stuff like that was brilliant. It's just, I think the whole film just worked. And I love that this is where we're at now. And the more characters that get introduced, the better it's going to get. Because once you've had that first initial movie, where I know they're not doing origin stories anymore, but it's still, the first movie is still going to be kind of like an introduction to their character. Even though you don't have to watch them get their ability anymore, the movie starts off with them already having it, you still have a certain degree of introduction. But I'm glad, but the more they get introduced, the less they have to do that. So now, like, when there comes another Cap film, another Thor film, another one of these films, instead of having to be, this is this guy and this is the bad guy, it's just like, boom, straight, right, we picked off here from Avengers, and now we're carrying on. And it's just awesome. And the way the movies are still tying in, like the start of Avengers is picking up from the end of Captain America, and it's just awesome. I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So there is so much more to talk about, so much more to talk about, but it's just, it's just like, right now my brain's fried, I can't come up with anything. Like you said, like, who was the favourite Avenger? Like, yours was Vision. When Vision first came in, I was hesitant. I was kind of speculating, like, oh, I'm not sure if he's actually going to fit. Like, in the comics, obviously he did, but looking at the on-screen ensemble, I wasn't quite sure how he was going to fit with the Avengers, like, if this was going to work. And then there became the one scene when they're all battling Ultron, and there's Thor, Iron Man and Vision all shooting Ultron at the same time, and like there's that slow-mo cinematic with all three of them in a line all doing it, and it's like all in slow-mo. And the second I saw that, I was like, yes, that's it, that is it was almost like it was ripped from the pages of the comics. It was amazing. And I was just like, oh, like, anyone who's ever been a fan of the Avengers, like, personally seeing that was like a moment I'd always been waiting for, where it wasn't like, oh yeah, cool, they're all coming together the first time. It just felt like, no, these are the Avengers. Not, this isn't a movie about the Avengers, this is the Avengers. It was just awesome. And I think someone might have left a comment later on, I remember reading, so, but I'm going to talk about it now anyway. The best bit was when they all had to defend the, I forget what it was called, but it was basically like a detonation device in the middle of this floating island. And they're all standing around it, defending it. It was a slow-mo cinematic scene, just circling around, watching them all battle with Quicksilver, like, flying all over the shot, and Vision flying through things. Oh, it was amazing. Like, I remember Joss Whedon said that at the end of the first Avengers, you had that big one-shot scene where it just went through all of them battling through New York, and it was just like one complete panning shot between the whole lot of them. And it was amazing. And he said basically what he wanted to do with Age of Ultron is they weren't going to top that by making a longer shot. They wanted to not put it on a grander scale, they wanted to make it more intense. And I think that's exactly what they did. Because that one scene then, it looked like one of the scenes from a comic book where a battle happens and everyone jumps at each other fighting. And you spend like a couple of minutes just looking at that one panel, because you're just trying to figure out who's fighting who and what's going on and what they're doing and all that sort of stuff. And that's what it reminded me of. It basically looked like what one of those scenes would look like if it was animated. And that was just, it was just amazing. It was so good. There is just so much more to talk about. There really is. But it was amazing. That was personally one of my most favourite scenes. And I think somebody's actually asked that question a bit later on, I believe. I'm not sure if they do. Oh yeah. Yeah, they do. Alright, cool. So they asked that question a bit later on. So I'll get to actually talking about what's my favourite scene overall a bit later on in this video, because that's actually someone's question. So I don't want to jump the gun a little bit there. But oh, it's just such a good movie. It really is. Sonic FTW also said, did you see my comment? If you want to change the name to the Untitled Podcast, because I think it's just a funny name, to change it to Captain Space, because Tommy from Geek Space and you, Captain Dave. Yes, I did see your comment. I replied to it shortly after you wrote it. I get that quite a lot, actually. A lot of people write me questions, and I answer them, and then they ask me again the next week, or like in the next video. And like, I have actually begin to wonder, like, do you guys do you get a notification if I reply to you? Like, for anyone who's ever had me actually type a response to your question, do you get a notification when I respond to you? Because I've had several people write me the same comment every single day, even though I've responded to them like the first 2 times. So I was just kind of curious if you guys actually get a notification or anything when I respond to you. But no, I did. I answered your question in the when you actually wrote it. But no, it's a cool idea. But we're trying to stay away from anything too specific. So nothing with Tommy or Dave in it, nothing to do with Captain of Dave, just like nothing to do with Geek Space, and like anything that says like comics or movies or like weekly or daily or anything like that. We're trying to stick away from. We want to try and get a title that's just a title and doesn't talk about anything specifically, because in that way, if we change the content of the podcast, we change the members of the podcast, we change the frequency of the podcast, it means then we don't have to change the name. So we're trying to think of something that's really general that we can call it, so then that way the topic or the people or the frequency can change at any point without having to some person going, well, you just called the weekly podcast, it's not weekly anymore, or something like that, you know. So we're trying to think of something quite generic, but it was a good idea. I did like it. I did read it and think that was actually kind of cool. Moving on. Where are we now? I've completely lost my place. Oh yeah, the cutest tiger there ever was says woof woof. And then went on to say, hey Dave, I've got a few things to say. Firstly, this week's question is quite simple. Or is it? Aaron Cash or Blade? Read the two scenarios and tell us who do you find more irritating. Oh, I can just tell I'm going to enjoy this one already. Aaron Cash managed to save Batman's life by sheer luck and asked Batman to let him be his personal assistant in crime fighting for the rest of his life. Batman reluctantly agreed, gave him some armor, fighting gear, and made him his sidekick. From then on, Cash was Batman's life every day, but was still captured every day and saved by Batman every day. Yet Batman keeps him, as he had made a promise. Blade also managed to save Spider-Man's life, and Spider-Man invited Blade to live with him. Blade agreed, and they lived together after that, and Blade became Spidey's sidekick. Oh, who would I find more irritating? Right, I'm going to go with Spider-Man. There's several reasons. Not just because I always pick Spider-Man, which I know I do. But one, I read Spider-Man and I don't read Batman. So if Aaron Cash was Batman's sidekick, it wouldn't really bother me. Because I don't read Batman, so I wouldn't have to see him anyway. However, I do read Spider-Man, and Blade would wind me up because he just wouldn't fit. He just doesn't fit. Like, Blade just doesn't fit in the Marvel Universe, like, in my opinion. Bear in mind, I've never really read Blade, but whenever he has popped up, I'm just like, what are you doing here, Blade? He's never in any big events. He's never had anything to do with the Avengers. He's just... I mean, I've never even seen vampires in the Marvel Universe, except for in one storyline to do with the X-Men. And I think Jubilee became a vampire. Something. Other than that, I have never seen them. Unless, I guess, Morbius in Spider-Man. But it's just like, I don't know, it's just... I just look at Blade and I want to pretend he doesn't exist. Just like everyone pretends like the Edward Norton wasn't the Hulk at some point. It's like that. I don't know why I don't get it. There's like so many Blade fans out there as well. Which is like, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like if you like Blade, fair enough. But I like the whole continuity of the Marvel Universe, and I just don't think Blade fits. Like Punisher, I don't read, but he fits. Like he's never in the big events. He's never going to be in the Avengers. He's never going to be anything like that. But I can see his place in the Marvel Universe. Like some guy going out there killing people who he thinks he's bad. Like obviously other superheroes aren't going to agree with him, but I feel he has his place in that universe. A vampire hunter, just, I don't know. It just seems weird. Like it just seems like you're going to make like the Unnatural Avengers that consists of a werewolf and Frankenstein and a mummy, and it feels like that to me. I know it's probably not, and it's probably really well written, but that's just what it feels like to me with Blade. So then again, like going back to it, like I read Spider-Man, I don't read Batman, so Aaron Cash wouldn't really bug me. And in fairness, I don't know what Aaron Cash is like in the comics. I've only seen his adaptations in the games where he bugs the holy hell out of me. Aaron Cash might be a great character in the comics. He might be actually really cool. I have no idea. It's like maybe Aaron Cash being Batman's sidekick could actually be really badass. I don't know. I just judging this by the Arkham series, Aaron Cash, and he bugs the hell out of me in those games. I'm Aaron Cash. Go get him, Batman. Oh no! Batman told me to stay here, but I went off and helped anyway, and now I'm captured, meaning Batman's got to save me again. But yet somehow we're a team, Batman. Oh, I've lost count how many times I've raged about Aaron Cash, but like in the comics he could be awesome. So like that story in the comics might be really cool, but like if it's Arkham, Aaron Cash, then no, that'd be a pain in the ass. But no, I've got to go with Spidey because I love Spidey and I read Spidey, and Blade would just, it would kill the whole tone of Spidey. It would be just like making Spidey room with Optimus Prime. It just like it wouldn't fit. It just wouldn't make any sense. Like Spider-Man and just Donatello just room up together like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. It just wouldn't fit. And that's what I feel like Blade and Spider-Man would be. However, if I read Batman and didn't read Spider-Man, then I'd probably go with Aaron Cash. So it's purely down onto my reading list. Alright, secondly, your next question was, the answer to last week's question is here. Oh, right, of course, you must have been the guys you must have been the guy who's reading me the question, you've just changed your name. Alright, fair enough. So the answer to the last week's question was, Mastermind was made to look like a young Vincent Price. Robert Shaw inspired Sebastian Shaw. Donald Sutherland inspired Donald Pierce. Orson Welles inspired Harry Leland. And Deanna Rigg inspired Emma Frost. Interestingly, a Hellfire Club was historically a name for places in the 18th century that were known for immoral acts such as gentlemen's establishments. That makes sense. I could understand. Like Hellfire Club being like that sort of place in the 18th century, that actually I can really see that happening. But now you know the secret connection between X-Men and strip clubs. Yeah, that is true. That is correct. So now this week's question is quite different. Batman once had a very interesting assistant who helped him solve crimes. His name starts with D and ends with P. Who is it? Find out next time on the Captain's Quarters. Do you know what? Like, the second I read that, the first person that came to my mind, it's not even a DC character, was Dupe from Wolverine and the X-Men. That like Slimer style creature. Like he almost looks like Slimer from Ghostbusters. But there's a character called Dupe that's in Wolverine and the X-Men. Do you know, that was the first person that crossed my mind, and I suddenly realised, hold up, no, this is DC, not Marvel. So. But yeah, there you go. Find out next week who was Batman's assistant. Began with a D, ends with a P. Who knows? Who knows? And finally, the last question from the cutest tiger there ever was yes, everything comes in 3, and Guardians of the GOG was Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, fair enough. I can be dense sometimes when it comes to acronyms. When I said some of the scenes in Interstellar were almost as epic as ME2's final mission scene, I meant the feel and epicness you felt when you first watched Shepard entering the Omega Relay and crash there. Those were the kind of feels I felt when I watched some of the scenes, and I think it's mostly due to the music. Yeah, oh yeah, scoring and music is a huge part in cinema, absolutely huge. Like a film without music, just like sometimes you don't even notice music's in the background, but it brings out such an emotional draw in you that you don't even realise it's happening because of the music. You watch that same scene on mute, like the emotion is almost zilch in it. That film has the best soundtrack after Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh yeah, you can't beat Pirates of the Caribbean with the music. Hans Zimmer, you beautiful man. If you plan on watching it, don't listen to any of the soundtracks or watch trailers until you have watched it. You have to go in blind to get the full experience. They kind of go a bit too far in the fiction department near the end, but it's still very, very good. If I wasn't a fan of the MCU, it'd be one of my top 5 movies of all time. Hope I wasn't too late giving you this information. Nah, it's never too late. Never too late to give me a cool piece of information. But no, I'm gonna have to get into Interstellar. I really wanted to see that, so. Got a question, or more of a statement, really, from Nandini R. Say, play Arkham Knight. Ask me nicely. Put a please at the end of that, at least, if you're going to demand me to do something. Oh, and we have another question from the cutest tiger there ever was. Sorry I broke the everything comes in free rule. Oh, that's fine. Walking Dead seems to be doing that quite a lot recently. Stanley Parable is a short mind F asterisk C K game that I can't even spell. Is a it's a bit of a mind head game. It's literally breaking the fourth wall, but still quite entertaining. It's a very good casual game, and it has lots of different endings. Oh, fair enough. Jim Jenks said, "What's up, Dave? Thanks for answering my question. Now I've got a couple of Avengers questions this time. Number 1, what were your opinions of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver? I think Pietro is more accurate to the comics than Days of Future Past ones. Yes, that was something, again, I feel like I say this all the time now, but that was something we spoke about in the newest episodes of the Untitled podcast. We had a little bit of conversation about which one was the best Quicksilver, and I agree completely. Aaron Taylor Johnson, no, is it Aaron Taylor Johnson? Is that his name? But yeah, I think he played a much better Quicksilver, and I think that's the thing is, like, with most superhero characters, like, despite cinematic effects and despite the script and all that sort of stuff, to play a good Quicksilver, you need to play a good Pietro. Just like to play a good Iron Man, you need to play a good Tony Stark, and etc, etc. And I think that's exactly it. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson played a great Pietro. He even said in the interview I saw that he went back and he read a lot of the comics. He really tried to focus on the relationship between him and his sister, the way he sees the world, the way he sees the Avengers, the way his personality actually is, like how cocky he can be, but not too cocky like Days of Future Past Quicksilver went. That and the fact that Marvel obviously has Marvel's magical touch, and the fact that he looked better, his character looked more awesome. Like, I like Days of Future Past Quicksilver, and then when I put up like a slide side by side in the podcast, and I realised how tacky Days of Future Past one. He looked like someone who was just dressed up as Quicksilver. Like, he had a weird, I mean, I know it was set in the 70s, but he had like a weird tacky jacket. He had silver hair, which was clearly dyed, whereas the Pietro in Age of Ultron, he looked like a guy who just grew up where he grew up. Like, he had old 90s clothes on. He had like a really bad like blonde highlights in his hair. Like, he looked like he grew up where he grew up, and that's not me stereotyping that part of the world. I just realised how that must have came off. That wasn't me stereotyping that part of the world. That's just like, he fit. He looked like he was a part of that world, and he was great. And I think also the way he moved, like the way they did his speed, was kind of better, because I know he moves insanely fast, but in Days of Future Past, it was almost like he teleported, how fast he moved. I like how they did it in Avengers, where instead of making him move quick, they made everything else slow down. Now, I know, like, in Days of Future Past, they had that one amazing scene where he's running around the kitchen and he's moving everyone's fists and, like, they're punching each other and moving all the bullets. I mean, that was incredible. That was one of the scenes that made that movie so great. However, I liked the way they did it in Age of Ultron. It just, I don't know, it was just cool. I think it made Pietro more realistic. And that's a weird thing to say in a superhero film, but it made him fit better in the whole like Avengers and superhero world, and it didn't make him seem too overpowered. Like, I mean, like the Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, instead of sending him to drive the car home, if they actually took him on their mission, I mean, the mission would have been over like that. It's just like, they would have been like, Quicksilver, knock out Mystique, capture Boulevard Trask, and also steal all the samples for us. 10 seconds later, their mission is done. Like, it, they could have just used him to do all that, but they sent him home because I think they know if they brought him on the rest of the mission in the rest of the film, then he would have been so overpowered that it would have made the film null and void. Like, they'll be like, why are they having so much trouble when they got Quicksilver on their side, you know? So that was the one issue I think I had with him. Whereas in Days of Future Past, in Age of Ultron, he seemed like he fit more. He seemed like you could fight Quicksilver. Like, he's really fast, but you could still outmatch him as long as you had the right approach. So, which was cool. That's like something I liked. So like, it's a scene like where he was running really fast and he tried to catch Thor's hammer and it sent him flying across the room. Like, stuff like that. It was cool. It still made him human in a sense. So, but yeah, no. As I say, and again, Scarlet Witch as well. I liked her. I think she was great. I think they did a good job of, like, I think, building up the relationship between them. They could have maybe done a bit more in developing how close they are, but at the same time, I think it's good. They could have spent too long as well, and I think underdeveloping it was a bit better than overdeveloping it. So I think it's good. Like, if they'd spent so long just focusing on them as a brother and sister, it would have really slowed down the plot of the film. So that was cool. I liked it. I liked her as well. I think it was all good. I'm really excited to see what's to come. What did I think of the Avengers roster at the end of the movie? I liked it. I thought that was really cool, the way they did that. Like, I don't know, it was cool, because the second they went there, it didn't even say like New Avengers Facility, it just said New Avengers, and I loved that because I thought that was such a great nod at like the 2000 run. I think it was Bendis who wrote for the New Avengers. Yes, the 2001 start of New Avengers with Breakout, which I just love. I think that's such a great story, and So it was such a cool little nod at that as well. And then when they're in there, and I mean, I hated it how they cut off just before Captain America said Avengers Assemble. I thought that was so tacky. Like, I know what they're doing is they're probably trying to build that up so when Age of Ultron, when Infinity War happens and they finally battle Thanos, Cap's gonna shout Avengers Assemble, and it's gonna be with all the Avengers, all the Defenders, the Guardians of the Galaxy, like it's SpiderMan, it's Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, like, everyone's gonna be there together. So I think they're waiting for that one big fight scene in Infinity War for him to finally shout Avengers Assemble. I think that's what they're waiting for, so I think that's why they did that at like nearly, but I don't know, it kind of seemed a bit tacky to me. But no, I loved it, and the way they made the Avengers present themselves. They weren't just standing there like, oh, they like all had to almost, the colour scheme was pushed up a little bit. There was this bright light behind them, and it made them look more heroic. And also, I thought it was just such a good nod, not only at the new Avengers 2004 run, but also with the first time the Avengers first ever changed up. It's like you had Iron Man. I can't remember if he was Ant-Man or Giant Man back then. I think he was Giant Man, maybe. But you had Iron Man, Giant Man, Hank Pym, whatever you want to call him, the Wasp and the Hulk. They were the first Avengers, and then very, very soon they found Captain America, and Captain America just fell into the leadership role. Well, then after a certain amount of time, I can't remember exactly the ins and outs of it, but Iron Man, Hulk, Giant Man, and Wasp left, and it was just Captain America, and he brought on Hawkeye, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch. Hawkeye being a previous villain, and also the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver being the previous villains and like mutant terrorists. It was such a, whoa, what are you doing? Like, you bringing bad guys on, and now they're the Avengers? Like, what's this about? And like, Cap was the only member left. So when they did that, and like, obviously Tony Stark had sort of blown up all his armor previous to the Avengers, and he kind of just came back to help. Hulk has gone off to do his thing. Thor is, I'm gonna guess, he's gonna have his own problems to be dealing with, and he's looking into all the Infinity Stones and all that sort of stuff. Now they finally referenced it. Cap's the only one left to really be the Avengers right now, because they're all off doing their own things. And other than the fact they keep coming back to being Avengers, like, they've got to their own things to do. And I mean, obviously, like, Hawkeye's got some of his personal life to attend to and such like that. So when they did that, I thought that was great. That was not only a nod at the new Avengers run, that was such a great nod as well back to the first time the Avengers ever changed their roster. So there he is, Cap standing there, one of the only normal, and obviously Black Widow as well in the cinematic universe. And then there's these new Avengers standing there, and I thought that was fantastic. I loved it. A lot of people I've heard didn't. I thought it was amazing. It was one of my favourite scenes. I thought it was so good. But yeah, so there we go. I loved it. I thought it was really cool. And I'm glad they're doing that now, because at the end of Infinity War, a lot of people's contracts run out. Chris Evans runs out, and we've heard he's planning on retiring for a little bit after that. Chris Hemsworth's runs out. I don't know what's happening with Tony Stark's. He's so much Tony Stark now, I'm even calling him Tony Stark. I don't know what's happening with Robert Downey Jr.'s right now either. So I've heard him say he wants to play Tony Stark until they tell him to stop. But then I remember Hugh Jackman saying something similar, and we all know he's... the end is nigh for Wolverine. So obviously the cast and the roster is going to change, but just because Cap's leaving, Thor's leaving, stuff like that, that doesn't mean the Avengers have to stop. The Avengers have been present without any of them being a member in the comics, so there's no reason why it can't continue after, especially with new characters like Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, all these people coming into it. There's no reason why it can't continue. My only concern was that after Infinity War, they were all going to leave. A bunch of new people were going to be the Avengers, and everyone's going to be like, what? Like, this isn't the Avengers. So I'm glad they're doing it now. I'm glad they're introducing a new roster before Infinity War has even come up. So that way, when that happens and their contracts run out and they either die or they leave or whatever they do to their characters after Infinity War, there's already a core roster of Avengers, and it's not being switched up after Infinity War. So I was really glad they did that. And also the other question was, Ultron is one of, if not the best Marvel villain so far. Do I agree? Yes and no. I don't. I think he's on par with Loki. Like, honestly, I don't think either one was better. Like, Loki is outstanding. He's just been such a great Marvel villain, and still is. I mean, he's not gone. Like, for anyone who, like, obviously with Thor: Dark World, he's currently posing as Odin. So, and I think Loki is going to play a major role in Infinity War. He has to. I mean, he's already had past dealings with Thanos. I think Loki's going to be actually one of the reasons that I think Thanos gets the last, one of the last Infinity Gems as well. I mean, posing as Odin, he's got a seat of power in Asgard. I mean, it makes perfect sense that he's able to track down one of the last Infinity Gems in such a place of power. So I think he's going to play a huge role in Infinity War. But I think Ultron was such a different villain from Loki. He was different from how I thought he was going to be. Like in the comics, he's so serious. He's deadly serious. But he was created by Hank Pym. In this Marvel Cinematic Universe, he was created by Tony Stark. So it makes sense that Ultron was a bit more comical and sort of a bit more of a I don't know. I can't think of the word, but he was just like very boisterous and flippant in some of his responses. He wasn't so I am an AI. He almost had a very human ego about him as well, and that was great. But then it makes sense. He's been made by Tony Stark, so some of that would rub off in the creation. You know, it's not like exactly his Iron Man costumes are very dull and blend in, do they? They the hot rod red attached to it makes it stand out. So. No, so I liked him. I liked Ultron. I thought he was very cool. He was just a very different enemy from Loki, and all different from what we thought he was going to be. So, no, I think he was on par. I think him and Loki just both hold the top seat right now. I don't think either one of them were better than any other. But no, he was very cool. He was very cool. And your last question was, what was your best butt from Age of Ultron? But my best butt from Age of Ultron? What was my best butt from Age of Ultron? Well, I've got to say Hawkeye does have a derriere, but it's got to go to the Norse god Thor. I'm guessing that was what was my best scene from Age of Ultron, not my best butt. Oh, if it's going to be a best butt, it's got to go to Black Widow, isn't it? Scarlett Johansson is a very attractive lady. No, but what was my best scene from Age of Ultron? Mine was the end scene, which was like the first Avengers, when they all circled around each other fighting Ultron bots. Classic Avengers. Yes, this was the comment I was talking about earlier, when I wanted to talk about my favourite scenes. So I think hands down, my favourite scene was that one that you just mentioned, when they were all circled around trying to protect like that detonation device, and it was just one consistent but slow-mo shot of them all fighting in one cohesive unit, all like Quicksilver and Vision just flying about and running about the entire scene, while all of them are like Cap's batting his shield back and Iron Man shooting stuff and Wanda's like moving stuff with her mind and Hulk's just hitting everything, Hawkeye and Black Widow shooting stuff. It was just, it was amazing. It was so good. It was just such an amazing scene. The bit just shortly after that with the three of them, Thor, Thor, Iron Man and Vision were all shooting Ultron at once, and it's just a slow-mo sidewards like cinematic shot of them just all slow-mo shooting, moving forwards. That was amazing. Again, like that new Avengers scene at the end I think was cool, but I wouldn't say it was one of my favourites. I think one of my favourite bits isn't like a big moment like that. It was just the interaction. It was like the party scene, and when they're all sitting around the table just talking, and that was what I loved. That was because they're always constantly trying to build up the story, build up the plot. They haven't had too much of that, and that's what I love. You saw them being the Avengers, because quite often in the comics, before a big event happens, it's just them sitting around the table at the Avengers mansion, just chatting and joking and laughing about stuff, and you know, who's this, who did that, who ate the last of the blah 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 blah, like joking around. And that was the one thing, because the films have obviously been trying to build up the story, and they only have like an hour and a half, 2 hours to do that. Like, you don't really have much room for not building up the story and the plot. So I was glad they had that scene with the party, and that scene where they're all joking about Thor's hammer, and that was cool. That was really cool, and the fact that even though it was serious, they had ongoing jokes that went throughout the whole film. It was cool. So I think the thing where they fight around the detonation device, where all three of them were shooting Ultron, and when they were just having the party, they were my three favourite scenes. I just loved it. I think that is, like, you can have a story and the cinematic scenes is all great and well, but what makes a film lovable and memorable is the camaraderie between them and the way they all interact and stuff, and it was just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Jim Jenks also said my ideal Avengers team. Oh yeah, of course, because I had that question about the Avengers team last time. My ideal Avengers team would be Cap, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Vision, Wanda, Hawkeye, SpiderMan, Wolverine. Yeah, that's a pretty good team. It's got a nice mix of like the originals and some of the newer Avengers as well. That's actually quite a decent mix. I like that team. Kyle Portella 13 said, "Hey Dave, how's it going? Did you look me up? And if you did you like it?" Yes, I did, and I saw you make that basketball shot, and I've got to tell you, I couldn't do that if my life depended on it. I'm useless at sports, so props to you, man. Props to you. Yeah, I did see it, and it was awesome. My question is, are you going to play the Incredible Hulk? It's not like Spider-Man Web of Shadows. I hate Spider-Man Web of Shadows as well. Yes! Finally, I find someone who also hates Web of Shadows. I didn't think it was going to happen. They said it wouldn't be so, but it was. Kyle Portella, my fellow hater of Web of Shadows. I think someone else might have mentioned they disliked it in the past as well, but you're the first one that's been recent anyway. You are my favourite YouTuber. Keep up the great work. P.S. I will say this every Captain's Quarter. Oh, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. But am I going to play the Incredible Hulk? I don't know. Let me Google this right now. Actually, I'll go on YouTube because it'll probably be quicker to find the game. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of games you guys tell me about. Like, there's a Thor game. I didn't even know it existed. The Incredible Hulk. Is there just one Incredible Hulk game? I think there's several, isn't there? Game. Oh, I think I have seen a little bit of gameplay of this, actually, come to mention it. I don't know, how old is this game? It doesn't look too bad. Oh, I don't know, it doesn't look too bad, actually. I've never played an Incredible Hulk game. That might be quite fun. Like, as I'm getting older, I'm finding games where you're a big badass of smashing stuff is actually quite fun. Who knows? I'll look into it. I can't promise anything because I've already got a few things on the back burner that I plan on playing, so... But who knows, if it looks like a fun game, I might play it. And as you said, like saying it's not like Web of Shadows, that's a good way to get me started. Okay, so moving on, we had... Oh man, looking at the time as well, I've really got to get this thing moving along. I don't have much time left. The General of Fire said, here's my question for you. If you can have your own symbiote, like Venom, what would your powers be and why, and what would be your name? Who would be the symbiote's father, mother, i.e. Venom is Carnage's dad? What is going to be the colours to come up with the backstory? How did you get your symbiote? Have a good one, General of Fire. That's quite a thinker. So I suppose if I had a symbiote, what would my powers be? That depends, because like symbiote, from what I can tell, all symbiotes have the same abilities, but obviously the Venom symbiote has Spider-Man's abilities because it first attached to Spider-Man. So in saying that, if another symbiote first attached to Wolverine's, would it have a healing factor and adamantium claws? If it first attached to the Hulk, would it be incredibly strong? Like, is that how a symbiote works, or do they just all have a basic power set and Venom just copies Spider-Man because obviously he can just shoot his goo and pretend to have webs? So I don't know. So I suppose I would have the base symbiote powers. Like I'll be able to like web swing, or at least use my goo to move from place to place. And I suppose some sort of healing factor maybe, because you know that's what the Venom suit can do, I guess. Like, and obviously you can shape shift and stuff like that. So mother and father, I don't know. I don't think I would. Like if I had my own Venom suit, it wouldn't be like, oh, like this, like Venom and Carnage had a baby or anything like that. It would probably just be another symbiote. Like there's a whole planet of symbiotes apparently that the Guardians of the Galaxy would have visited. So it would just probably be another symbiote, and I just happened to be wearing it. So, what would the colours be? And come up with a backstory. How'd you get the symbiote? Colours. I don't know. What colours would I choose? I mean, like I would say black, but I suppose that's a bit too on the nose with symbiote stuff, isn't it? Something like Venom and all that sort of stuff. I don't know what colours I would choose. I like colours are like one of those things I've never been good with. Like when it comes to like creating thumbnails and stuff like that, I spend a lot longer on them than you probably imagine, because I am useless with colour palettes. I really am. But I don't know, the symbiote. How do I get it? How do I get the symbiote? That's a good question. I mean, it's like any other symbiote has come down on like a meteor or a rocket ship, or I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's like a big battle with the symbiote. Like maybe Carnage has escaped, or Agent Venom has lost control of his symbiote, or maybe just a whole bunch of symbiotes have attacked. Like in what was that new Avengers thing, or the Avengers thing, where a whole bunch of symbiotes like took over New York? I can't remember how that happened now, but anyway, maybe something like that. And they eventually catch the symbiote by firing loads of like high-pitched sound waves or fireball at it, and it kind of explodes. And they capture most of it, but what they don't realise is as it exploded, a small amount of it flew off and just hit a random civilian like a couple of blocks away, which was me. just on my way to get myself a sandwich, you know. And it landed on me, and eventually, like, at first it was weak, so it just sort of just hid on my body or in me, so I didn't even know I had it. But over time, it got better, it got stronger, and it grew into its own sentient life. And then that's when me and the symbiote started working together to fight crime and all that sort of stuff. But who knows? I mean, that could be a really useless story, but this is off the top of my head, and as I've said, I'm very tired right now. Kyle F06 FIFA said, "Hey Dave, I've been wanting to start reading comics for a long time now, but I've never known which one to start with. Any suggestions?" Yes, actually. Like, Marvel is a tricky place. Like, I'm assuming, like, when it comes to DC, I don't know. I don't read DC, but from what I've heard, you want to start with the New 52. I mean, I think that was the whole point of the New 52, was to be a kicking off point for new readers. So I don't know DC, but I've heard the New 52, and just pick up whatever you want of the New 52. But when it comes to Marvel, it's a tricky place. It's one of the things that this Secret Wars, I think, is trying to rectify, but in a sense, it will never completely do it, because they're not rebooting the continuity, they're just trying to tidy it up a little bit. So anything that happened before Secret Wars still happened. It's just, they're deleting and killing a lot of stuff that doesn't matter anymore, so they can try and neaten up the whole universe a bit. So, with that said, Marvel's a tricky place. I think, personally, the best place to start would be Bendis's run of the 2004 New Avengers. Other than the fact that I like it, that's where I first started reading comics, I think is a great place to start. Because if you start with any one character, you're only getting their story. If you start with New Avengers, you have Cap, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Wolverine, Spider-Woman. Is that who was just on the... I think that was just who was on the team to start with. And then as the New Avengers go on, like, people like Iron Man leave, and you get Miss Marvel, you get Iron Fist, you get Daredevil, Doctor Strange, The Thing. Like, you get so many other characters come into it. So, Hawkeye, like, you get so many others join. So it's a great place to go to learn new characters, like, if you don't know who they are. And plus, like, you could go back and read, like, the old stuff, like Avengers, but a lot of them aren't as current anymore. Like, people like Wonder Man, they're not as current these days. Like, pop up every now and then, but they're not really there. People like Luke Cage, they're present. They're this day. Wolverine, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, like, they're the newer, the characters who maybe weren't in the Avengers back then, but these days they are. They're the mainstays. So, like, they're the characters you're wanting to get to know. Other than that, the start of New Avengers is the start of that Avengers run. That's the first Avengers book that came out after Avengers Disassembled, which is when the Avengers completely almost disintegrated upon themselves due to Wanda Maximoff, and then they just sort of decided to disband, like, they can't continue anymore. So this is the first this is the first run of the Avengers since they first disbanded. It's the first time they've all come back together. So you are starting from the start. Not only do you learn a bunch of characters, but also New Avengers starts. If you're reading on the Marvel Unlimited subscription, which, as I've said thousands of times, is a great thing to read. You can either pay like £10 or $10 a month, which eventually will obviously come to like £120 by the end of the year, or you could pay £60 or $60 for the entire year, which means you're almost getting it at half price. That's what I do. It's fantastic. And as soon as you do, you can read whatever they have on there as much as you like. And that's exactly what I've done. There's no way I could have read what I've read buying them individually. It's impossible. But yeah, so you can do that, and by doing that, you can also read all the big events. They have all the big events from back then, all completely uploaded with all their tie-in events as well, so you can read the whole thing. And New Avengers starts just before House of M happens, so you can read House of M. And then New Avengers is very current during Civil War, and then is extremely current through Secret Invasion, which happens after Secret War, and then you got Dark Reign, and then you got Siege. All of that happens during that 2000 to 2010 run of New Avengers. It is a great place to start. And then from there, once you've figured out how the whole thing works, you can then branch out. Like, maybe if you're reading it, you particularly like Wolverine, or you happen to like Luke Cage or Spider-Man, or then you can go off and start reading their individual arcs if you want. But New Avengers 2004 Brian Bendis run, a great place to start. Like, if you're gonna start, like, wherever, the fact of the matter is, wherever you start in Marvel Comics, they're gonna talk about stuff that you're like, like, what's that? What are they talking about? I don't understand what that is. That's gonna happen. That happened to me as well. But eventually, you can either go back and read that, or you can just keep going, because they always have this way of explaining what's happened between the dialogue of the characters. So, like, if they're talking about an event where you don't know, say like House of M, you didn't know what happened in House of M, or say Avengers Disassembled, You didn't know what happened in Avengers Disassembled. You didn't know that was when the Avengers disassembled due to Wanda Maximoff. They'll be like talking about something like, oh, this is the first time we've been together, and then one of them will go, oh, what do you mean from that the time we disassembled? Yeah, like how could Wanda do that? Blah blah blah. Like, so they explain it, but in a conversation, so you can still understand what's going on. But yeah, I mean that's my personal suggestion. I mean, I'm sure there's other great suggestions out there, but Avengers New Assembled 2004 Brian Bendis run. And just keep going all the way to 2010 and read all the tie-ins that come with it. So once it hits, like, it might say New Avengers Civil War tie-in. When that happens, go and read Civil War, like, and then come back to where you were in New Avengers and keep going. That's the way I would do it. It's just, oh man, it's like, as I've always said, it's the rabbit hole. You go down and you just get deeper and deeper and deeper, and you just can't stop. You just keep going. You start reading more and more and more, and it is addictive. It really is. But Kyle FO6 FIFA also said, how do you think Paul Rudd will be in the new Ant-Man movie? I personally think he's going to do a fantastic job. I really, really do. A lot of people have said, like, this is something I've said as well. It's either going to be like a Guardians of the Galaxy where it comes out of nowhere and blows everyone away, or it's going to be like a Hulk where everyone pretends it didn't happen. I don't think it's going to be as good as Guardians, but I think it's going to be a good film. I think a lot of people hopefully will be eating their words about how much they thought it wasn't going to be good. I personally think Paul Rudd's going to do a good job. Now, like, at this point, you've got to trust in Marvel. Like, they've cast so many great people for roles. So many people that you didn't think would do great in that role, but they have. They've done, like, absolutely brilliant. So I think at this point, you kind of have to trust Marvel. And I haven't read it, but I've heard that Scott Lang's run of Ant-Man, like when Scott Lang was Ant-Man, was actually very comical. Like, it was actually kind of funny, the stuff he did. So I think Paul Rudd's the perfect one for that, because he plays a lot of like rom-com roles where the jokes are funny, but it's not because he said a funny thing, it's just because of like situational humour, which Paul Rudd is brilliant at. So I think this will be a good role for him to be in. Plus, he isn't like, even though they've clearly buffed him out, like he's been working out, he's lost a lot of weight, he isn't one of those people where you look at and you're like, he's not like a Chris Hemsworth or a Chris Evans, where they're like, you look at them and they've just got that superhero, larger than life look to him. He looks like a normal dude that's really in shape. So I think that also is going to fit the character. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really cool. So like, even when you have a big film like Age of Ultron, it can't be all hype. You sometimes need the film that grounds you back down again. And I'm looking forward to it. I've said it since they first announced it. I've been looking forward to it. Assassinate Guy said, I've been watching your videos for a while and they're amazing. I'd definitely donate if given the chance. First you said you had a girlfriend. Is she into superheroes like you? If so, you're so lucky. Secondly, have you got tips on how a Marvel enthusiast can get a girlfriend? Oh, Assassinate Guy, that is the $1 million question. So yeah, so firstly I said I've got a girlfriend. Is she into superheroes? Yes and no. Like, she really loves, like, she's really excited to see all the superhero films with me. Like, me and my girlfriend who went to see the midnight release of Age of Ultron, and it's like, she loves the films. Like, on Valentine's Day we sat and had a Marvel movie marathon, and we enjoyed it so much we then spent the next day catching up and watching all the rest of the Marvel movies that we didn't get to finish. So yeah, she's into that, but then she doesn't. But at the same time, she doesn't read comic books. Like, she doesn't play the games and stuff like that. She's not that into it. She just enjoys the movies. She sort of enjoys the TV. Oh no, I was gonna say enjoys the TV programs, but I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. solo. But no, she enjoys the movies. She likes it, but she doesn't read comics, so it's not like she's a hardcore fan like I am. So but no. Secondly, tips on how a Marvel enthusiast can get a girlfriend. Man, I've got no idea. No idea at all, man. I just got lucky. I just got very, very lucky. Before we met, like, not getting obviously too personal and that sort of stuff, I had a string of bad luck. Years and years and years of bad luck. The longest relationship I ever had before Kaylee was like a month. It was like I had the Dave luck doesn't just apply to games and like the YouTube channel. It applies to all luck. Like, I had a very, very bad track record, so I just got lucky. I just got very lucky. But tips? No, I'm the worst person to talk to about tips, man. Like, I have botched up my past big time. So, but all I can say is it's like a fine line to tread, of like being yourself, but then some people be themselves a bit too much. So like, if you meet someone for the first time and you're just like, be yourself, man, be yourself, that's all great and well, but at the same time you've got to be nice. You've got to actually show something that's appealing about yourself. Because you think, like, if you meet someone for the first time and they show no interest in you, or they're just talking about themselves and what they like, you're going to get bored. You're going to be like, okay, look, a conversation's a back and forth kind of thing. So it's kind of like a fine line of be yourself, like, don't change yourself for somebody else, but at the same time you have to be willing to change yourself for someone else. So it's like, it's very contradictory, but no, I'm the worst person to ask. I'm still figuring it out as I go along. All I can say, man, is just be good luck. Good luck, that's all I can say. It's just one of those things, like, there is no how-to guide on how to do it. You just meet someone and it just works, or it doesn't. But like, there is no point as well, like, in life where, like, you just get to a point and you're like, done, like, awesome, I've done it. It's constantly working, constantly. Like, you can't ever just sit there and go, that's it, I have a girlfriend, I have a wife, I have a friend, I have a job. Like, you can't just say, I've got it, it's done. You always have to work at it. Like, with friends, you can't just say, I have a friend and that's it. Like, you still have to see them, you still have to do things for them, they still have to do things for you. It's a constant back and forth. Same with a girlfriend. You can't just say, I have a girlfriend, and forget about them, else they're gonna, the love's gonna go. Like, you have to do things for them, they have to do things for you, you have to sacrifice things, they have to sacrifice things. The good comes with the bad, and the same with a job. You can't just have a job, you have to keep working, you have to go for a promotion, you have to, like, nothing ever is just done and set in stone. You always have to be, like, evolving and changing. It's just the way life is. So yeah, I mean, like, other than that, I mean, like, I've got no advice to give you, man. It's just one step at a time. I'm like, if you knew me in real life, you'd know this. I'm like not a good person to give advice to about this sort of stuff. Swiftly moving on. VladX94 said, so Avengers 2. Went 2 times for it. First alone, second with my mum. She had a day off from work every Monday. And I enjoyed it very much. So on to the questions. 1, have you watched Avengers 2? If so, what was your opinions? I've already gone into great detail, but yeah, one of my favourite Marvel movies thus far. Second, Jared Leto's photo as Joker. Jared wins Harakiri. I did it, I mean it. I have no idea what that means. But yeah, Jared Leto's photo as a Joker, we spoke about that heavily in the last Untitled podcast. So, but yeah, I personally loved it. Tommy hated it, but and he is a DC fan, so I suppose I should really defer to his judgment. But I thought he looked cool. I liked it. Especially since how he looks like all the other Jokers, like you look at Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, they were either muscly or they were just like physically quite big. He's the first skinny Joker we've had, which I believe is what the comic book version of Joker is like. So I don't know, I thought he looked kind of cool, but I could be wrong. 3, could you please do a reaction video of all the Mortal Kombat X fatalities and X-rays? I've actually seen them, like when I was at uni, some of you was playing them. And other than the fact they are insanely gruesome, like they are just like who sat there and wrote the script for them? Like, I want to know whose job it was to sit there and think, how can we kill people? Like, what would be like a really disturbing way to kill a guy? You know? It's like, whose job was that? But no, I won't do a reaction video. I've never really done a reaction video to something. Like, and to be honest, normally if you watch something, your reaction is normally just, huh, or oh, that's cool. Like, it's like that's a real person's reaction, not oh my god. Like, it's like that's not a real reaction. And that's like the whole reason I have an issue with face cam. It's just like most people sit there and just go, huh, or like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a real reaction. Or they might snigger a little bit. Nobody actually jumps up and down going, oh my god. Well, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm devoid of emotion. Who knows? But no, I won't do a reaction video. I've still got to unbox my bloody webcam. Sheik Nabi said, hey Dave, when are you going to start playing Lego Marvel superheroes? It's weird, I've had that question like 5 or 6 times within the space of like 2 weeks. Like, I swear sometimes, like you, as subscribers, you guys have a hideout and you sit there like, right, what are we going to ask Dave? Like, Because I haven't made a Lego Marvel Superheroes video for 7 months, and yet suddenly in the space of the last 2 weeks, I've had like 6 or 7 questions, all asking me the same thing, all from different people as well. This is like, it's weird how it all happens at once like that. But no, I'm done with Lego Marvel Superheroes. No, when I originally played it, I was just going to do a walkthrough like I always do. But you guys really wanted to see some free roaming stuff, so I said, yeah, okay, I'll do some free roaming. But I said right at the start, I said that I'm going to play free roaming until I get bored. And even though in my last, unfortunately, in my last free roaming video, one of the last things I said was, this won't be the last video. And then incidentally, it turned out to be the last video. But at that particular time, I had so much going on in my life, a lot of bad stuff had just started happening at that point. So, yeah, I lost focus. I really could not be bothered to play it anymore. And then by the time I got back into it, I had no interest in playing it anymore. So I did what I said I was going to do. I played until I got bored. Like, there was never going to really be an end to the free roaming. Like, obviously, the missions would eventually got to an end, but it would have been like 100 parts long. And it's all just go here, do this, do that. I mean, like, it's fun, but there's only so much I could have spoke about while doing that. Like, I could have eventually done it with no commentary and just done the missions, but it gets to a point where there's only so much I could have spoke about before you would have noticed that I sound bored. So when am I going to start playing Lego Marvel Superheroes again? No, I'm not. Maybe I should actually put something in the title of the last video so people know that, but I'm not. I am going to be playing Lego Batman, I am going to be playing Lego Avengers, but when it comes to Marvel Superheroes, now I completed the walkthrough, I did some free roaming, but that's done and dusted now. And the last question for this week is, The Wolverine, what are your thoughts on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so far? Alright, so there's a few questions. Let's go through these one at a time. I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Actually, there's one that was just on the other day that I still need to watch. I haven't caught up yet. And this is one of the things I always hate. Why I don't get things why things are staggered. Like, why did we get Avengers Age of Ultron before America? And why does America get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before England? Like, what's the point in that? Why not just release it all at the same time? I mean, it would help with pirating a little bit, wouldn't it? And with spoilers, but anyway, yeah, so what do I think so far? I mean, the point where I'm up to right now, I say about spoilers, I've just been chatting about Age of Ultron, and I'm about to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so the point I'm up to right now, the air quote real S.H.I.E.L.D., just like had taken over Coulson's base, and oh yeah, that was it, Skye had just escaped, and like sent like a massive earthquake, and then that teleporting Inhuman guy, or I assume he's an Inhuman, sort of teleported her away. That's where that's where I'm up to so far. I love it. I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really do. It is so much better than how it was when it first started at the start of season 1. It's just so much better. But no, I love it. I think it's awesome. And what I love about it most is I don't know what's coming next. A lot of programs I love, but I'm sitting there and halfway through I'm like, that guy did it. Like, he's the killer. And most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time I'm right. And so that's what I love about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have no idea where they're going next. I've got no clue where they're heading. Not a clue at all. Like, so I'm excited. I'm really hoping that years and years down the line, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are going to play a part in the Inhumans. Because they've got the Inhumans film coming out in 2019. How can they not play a part at some point? Like, by the time they get there, the Inhumans storyline of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to be done and dusted. Like, they're going to have done it. Like, there's no way they're going to have this Inhuman storyline running for 4 years. Like, if the show's even going on for that long. So, like, I doubt that's going to happen. But I think at some point they're going to have to play a part in Humans. Like, with what's happening with Skye right now, they just kind of have to. But how many legendaries do I have on the Unlimited SpiderMan game? You have 9 legendaries so far. I need to open up the app again. See, I knew I had another question about the Unlimited Spider-Man. Let me just quickly open up the app again. Stall for time, Dave. Stall for time. Right. How many legendaries do I have? I have one. Oh, actually, you know what? What's that? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I have 22 legendaries so far. Man, I have a lot. But, yeah, most of them, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of them are only, like, ranked 1, because I've only managed to get them 1, like, by completing that event. But it's only the Amazing Spider-Man I've got ranked up all the way to the top, and he's level 100, and the Spider-Girl and a Corazon that is up to, like, level 70. But, yeah, I've got the man, actually that's 22. I'm not going to go through a list 22 of them, but the ones I've got up the highest are the normal Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Girl, and Corazon, Dr. Eichmann Spider-Man, Ultimate Black Widow Jessica Drew, Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Knight. Yeah, they're the ones that are pretty much ranked up quite a bit. Like the Cyber Scarlet Spider and the like classic Superior Spider-Man, they're ranked up a little bit. But other than that, I've got more ranked up epic heroes than legendary, like Future Foundation, Battle Damaged, Big Time Spider-Man's got all the stars, but I haven't fully leveled him up. Ultimate Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, she's fully upgraded. Enter the Earth Spider-Man, fully upgraded, but none of them have actually been like leveled up. But yeah, maybe I play this game too much. Man, 22 legendaries. Why did you make me realise that? I need to get a life. But no, the game is just so addictive, it really is. What's even worse, I've run out of internet data on my phone, so I can only play it when I'm at home. I've realised how long some of my journeys are now without being able to play that game. But and the final question Wolverine asked was, and here's a bit of a personal question, but what is the closest town city to you? Because the closest big ones to me are called Colchester and Chelmsford. Only answer this if you wish to. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's one of those questions that it is kind of personal, but it's like one of those questions I don't like. It's not like I don't want to answer it. It's just I worry about the ramifications of me asking it. So like, it's not like it's not personal as in like, you know, how is your relationship with your mother or something like that. But it's just 90%, 95% of you guys are awesome. You're just normal dudes and gals that are just coming here to watch a video, have a good time, have a chat with me, just whatever. But there is just that 5%, that 10% that are just a bit weird. Like, some questions I get, like especially like since I've been doing this like 5 years now, some of the questions I get, especially within the last few years, are just borderline creepy. Some of them, and some of them are just people just being friendly but taking it a bit too far. Like. And it's none of it's ever been done in a horrible, vicious, venomous way. Like, I've never had nasty messages from you guys. Like, I'm never worried like someone's going to attack me in my home or anything like that. But the only issues I've ever had is people being like too friendly, like too nice to me, which is such a weird thing to say. Like, my only gripe is people are too nice to me. But like, sometimes I just get some messages and I'm just like, oh. Okay, like, that's a bit much. But so that's like, normally I wouldn't mind answering this question because most of you guys are awesome, but I just fear there's just that 5%, maybe that 1% that might know where that place is and might come and stalk me. So I worry a little bit. So what I'm going to say is I'm not going to outright answer that question, but I will say I've been to both of those places. One of Chelmsford quite regularly at one point, but I don't live close enough to them to say I go there all the time. Like I have no reason ever in my life to go to those places right now, but there are I'll do. I've been to them. Let's just to say that. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. I think before I find somebody inside the bushes outside my house, just like I can see you, Captain Dave. Yeah, let's try and avoid that. So, anyway, with that being said, done and dusted, that is the end of this week's Captain's Quarters, which has been fun, although my head is frazzled and, oh man, yeah, oh jeez, an hour and a half this has been going, I need to go, like, I'm going to be late. So, I'm going to have to wrap this one up, like, very quickly. So, any questions or comments you guys might have for me, leave them in the comments below and I'll get through reading them out next week. But, I need to go, so, as always, my name's Captain Dave, this has been the Captain's Quarters, and I'll catch you guys later.